Hi, this is Lara at Elliott Wave Gold with your daily analysis for Tuesday 30th of September, recording the video now 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was expecting gold to remain range bound until Thursday. We've got a slight new low and a red candlestick. It fitted yesterday's combination hourly wave count best, but with some adjustment, all three possibilities are still open for gold. The structure is incomplete. It's going to remain range-bound probably for another 2 days. I am confident that when it's complete, the breakout should be downwards for a final fifth wave. Let's have a look at the charts. The daily chart expects that primary wave 4 was a huge regular contracting triangle, and it was over here showing perfect alternation and almost perfect proportion with primary 2. Primary 4 is a shallow triangle lasting 54 weeks. Primary 2 was a much deeper flat correction lasting 53 weeks. So at the weekly chart level, the wave count has a textbook perfect look. We've got a breakout of the triangle trend lines confirming primary 4 is over and primary 5 is underway, but before that happened, price moved reasonably close to the apex of the triangle trend lines. When triangles do that, then the movement following the triangle is often more weak and brief than you would otherwise expect it to be. At this stage, I can only calculate a target at primary degree. At 956.97, primary 5 would reach equality in length with primary 1, so that's a reasonably likely target, but if it's wrong, it's going to be too low. If primary 5 is more weak and brief than would otherwise expect it to be, it could be shorter than this target suggests, and I think the target will best be calculated at intermediate degree, but I can't do that until intermediate waves 1 through to 4 are complete. At that stage I will recalculate the target, and it may change, and if it changes it will move upwards most likely. For now, we don't have the end of intermediate wave 1 within this 5-wave structure for primary 5. Primary 5 can be only one of two structural possibilities, a simple impulse or an ending diagonal. Because the first wave at intermediate degree within it looks like it's unfolding as an impulse, primary 5 is unfolding as an impulse, because were it to be a diagonal, all its subwaves would have to be zigzags. So within intermediate wave 1 we have a leading contracting diagonal for minor 1, a relatively deep zigzag lasting 5 days for minor 2, a minor degree third wave impulse with an extended fifth wave, which has a 1.618 price ratio to minor wave 1, and the fourth wave is showing alternation in depth and structure with the second wave. The fourth wave so far is very shallow, and it's either a flat combination or triangle, so there's alternation in depth and structure with the zigzag of minor wave 2. Combinations and triangles particularly do tend to be more time-consuming structures than simple zigzags, so at the beginning of this consolidation phase I had warned it could be longer lasting than 5 days. I'm looking now for it to possibly end on Thursday, totaling a Fibonacci 8 days or sessions, which would see it have a 1.618 duration to minor wave 2. It doesn't have to do that, but that's what I'll look out for. If it's a triangle, it could possibly last a bit longer and end later than Thursday, but we'll look out for 8 days in the first instance. If it gets up that high, it might find resistance at the upper edge of this channel. If it's a flat correction and it ends up at the 0.382 Fibonacci ratio, this channel may be overshot. Sometimes fourth waves do that, but on the way up we should see at least some resistance before it breaks through, or it could be contained within this channel. That is often the case. Draw this channel using Elliott's first technique from 1 to 3 with a copy on 2. Minor wave 4 may not move into minor wave 1 price territory above 1280.35. I'm not expecting for it to get anywhere near that point though. There are still 3 structural possibilities open for minor wave 4, a flat, a triangle or a combination. Let's look at the first triangle possibility, where minor 3 ends here, this point here. 4 of the 5 subwaves of a triangle must be zigzags or multiple zigzags. One of the 5 subwaves only may be a more complicated, long-lasting double zigzag or multiple, and I expect we could have that now for minute wave B within a possible running triangle. So we have a single zigzag for A, a double zigzag for B, so C, D and E must all subdivide as simple ABC structures, and they are extremely likely, all of them, to be simple zigzags. So C, for a contracting or barrier triangle, may not move beyond the end of A above 1236.69, and it's pretty likely that it could end at this upper pink trend line. I've drawn it from the end of A to this high here. It's pretty common for one of the subwaves of a triangle to have a point in it which touches the triangle trend lines. So I'll look out for that here. That might happen for minute wave C zigzag. When C is done, we'd expect a zigzag down for D, which for a contracting triangle can't move beyond the end of B, below 1204.61. For a barrier triangle, D and B may end about the same point, and in practice that means D could end slightly below B. As long as the BD trend line remains essentially flat, a barrier triangle will remain viable. When D is done, a final little zigzag up for E can't move beyond the end of C and is most likely to fall short of the AC trend line. So the triangle idea expects choppy, overlapping movement in an ever-decreasing range, and it could end in 2 more days, or it might take a wee bit longer than that. Alternatively, this is the idea of a combination, and it's my experience over the years when you look for a triangle to be unfolding, you have to consider a combination alongside that possibility, because I have seen so many times what looks like to be a triangle only to invalidate right at the end and turn out to be a combination. So we have to consider this possibility. The first structure in the double combination is a zigzag labelled minute wave W. The double is joined by a deep 3 in the opposite direction, a zigzag labelled X. So this is a double combination, not a double zigzag, because combinations usually have pretty deep X waves. Double zigzags usually have much more shallow X waves. The second structure in the combination could be an unfolding flat correction. 3, 3, we need a 5 up. At 1244, minuet wave C would reach 1.618, the length of minuet A. Because B here is over 105% the length of A, the flat would be an expanded flat, and a 1.618 ratio between A and C is most common for an expanded flat. Minuet C must subdivide as a 5-wave structure. Within it, at 1230, subminuet wave 3 would reach 1.618, the length of subminuet 1, and then the following 4th wave correction can't move back into 1st wave price territory if the C wave does unfold as an impulse. Within minuet C, whether it be an impulse or ending diagonal, and those are the only 2 structural possibilities for it, no second wave correction may move beyond the start of its first wave below 1204.61. Alternatively, minor wave 4 could also still be a flat correction with a zigzag for A, a big double zigzag for B, which is now over 105% the length of A, and we'd expect a 5 up for minute wave C. Again, minute C has to subdivide as a 5-wave structure, an ending diagonal or an impulse. I'll label it as an impulse. At this stage it looks more likely. At 1230, the 3rd wave would reach 1.618, the length of the 1st wave. For this idea, at 1251, minute wave C would reach 1.618, the length of minute wave A, and that also happens to be exactly where minor 4 would reach up to the 0.382 Fibonacci ratio of minor 3, and that would see it overshoot that blue channel on the daily chart. It is possible that minute wave C could complete in just 2 more days, but it might also need longer. The invalidation point to the downside is exactly the same. So overall, the situation's pretty much the same as it's been for the last few days. Gold is range bound, it's in a consolidation phase, it's not done yet. Eventually, when it is done, the breakout should be downwards for a final 5th wave. We're not there yet. That's all from me today with your gold analysis, and I hope that all our members are having a fabulous day.